What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new here, hi if you're not new. My name's Danielle. I share a lot of content here about the coaching industry, business coaches, life coaches, spiritual coaches, all the different scams that are out there and what you should do to watch out for them so that you yourself don't get scammed like I did back in 2018. Well, my friends, do I have a story for you today? I had this one submitted to me through Instagram. And I am going to be sharing some screenshots, some voice notes. I've edited the sounds in the voice notes a little bit just so that this individual's identity is protected. We are not here to out anyone in particular. I am simply using these people as an example to demonstrate the kind of icky practices that you should be watching out for so that you yourself also do not get scammed. Okay, today's story is particularly wild. It involves an individual who paid for a guided meditation healing session, and instead of being delivered that product, received a 20-minute scripted activity that she could have found on Google. When she asked for a refund, the service provider vehemently denied her the ability to refund the service, and it was just a whole thing. So we're gonna go ahead without further ado, and we're gonna jump right in. If you enjoy scam content, I encourage you to go and check out my full playlist linked right here. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. I'm always looking for new scam stories. My email is linked down below. Now let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Okay, so as per usual, I will pop all the information you need to know up on the screen here. This whole thing started when I posted this Instagram story where I was sharing a video about how I lost $4,500. I will link it in the cards right here. If you have ever hired a coach or a mentor and feel like you didn't get what you paid for, DM me. I'm trying to compile a list of experiences and examples for future YouTube videos. Of course, submissions can be kept anonymous if you prefer. No shame in your experience. I've been there and you can learn all about it. I have no shame in telling my story. I think it's really important that we have these conversations because the more that we can talk about the scammy practices that are out there, the less normalized or the more normalized getting scammed is going to be, and the less shame we have associated with feeling like we got duped or taken advantage of. So the whole experience can be really embarrassing. And so I really just want to kind of open up the door for conversation, and I want it to be done in a safe space so that people who are afraid of, again, all of the shame that's often associated with it can share with me in confidence, knowing that I'm not going to be like, yo, it was Sandra Jo Smith that sent me this thing. Everyone should go laugh at her and tell her how stupid she is. I just made that name up. If your name's Sandra Jo Smith, I'm really sorry. Okay, so that was the story I posted. This individual responded, "Oh, I just did $450 for her to literally do a scripted 20-minute meditation. I paid for an hour. She refused to refund. She sent me her @handle, but I'm gonna black it out," and just said, I think this is her handle. Again, I'm not in the business of outing or harassing specific people. I really just want to draw awareness to the common schemes and rhetoric that's out there, so that you know what to look out for in future. So my response was, did she delete her account? What the heck? I have so many questions because when I typed in the handle she originally sent me, it didn't work, but she had made a spelling mistake. So she typed it out again and then just wrote, try that. I blocked her. Then she sent me this screenshot, which essentially was just her response asking for a refund. And then the service provider responded, "Hi, I will respond to your message tomorrow via email. Thank you." So the individual that sent this to me said, "Danielle, it was so bad, I issued a chargeback against her." My response was, "Oh my God. Okay, so just for some context, what style of meditation was this supposed to be and what was the intention of the session?" I really just wanted to get a clear picture about what it was we were dealing with here. And so this is where the voice notes come in. So I am going to go ahead and do a screen recording here, or show the screen recording. And I will pause it periodically to input my thoughts.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with this one. Okay. So I found this woman through someone who used to be my friend and is no longer a friend after this experience. Through a friend, an ex-friend's podcast. And I really liked what she was saying. It felt really aligned. It was resonating with me. I was like, wow, I want to book a session with her. My friend raved about the sessions this woman would do. And so I'm like, hey, let's do it. So I signed up. And well, actually, initially I didn't sign up because there were $750 US. And I was like, no, probably not. And then within a week, she dropped her rates, and I was like, oh my God, this seems so defined, this seems so aligned, and so I booked. And the price was $333. And From there, I like check my bank account and realize $450 Canadian dollars went through. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot justify a $450 payment for a 1 hour DNA activation session. So essentially the idea is she like activates dormant parts of your DNA to like up level you in reality. It's like energy work. It's like woo-woo Reiki work. And I don't generally go to things like this because this space is so clouded with people like her. But because she came so highly recommended, I went for it.
Okay, so for context, I'm located in Canada. If you didn't know, this individual who sent this to me was also located or is also located in Canada. So the point about the price thing was that with the exchange rate, the $333 was actually $450 Canadian, which in this economy is a lot of money. Even not in this economy, $450 is a lot of money, let's be real. Now, I'm not here to discuss whether or not we think energy work is real, whether or not we believe in Reiki and energy healing, that kind of thing. I really want you to focus more on the individual and their practices that come after this individual has booked her session. So she's going to get into it. So before we go off in the comments about how it's all a bunch of woo-woo BS, save it. We're not here to discuss that. We're here to discuss what's about to come next.
I saw that price and I was like, that's really not going to work for me. I cannot justify spending $450 on an hour. I no longer feel safe in this investment. So I cancel it. However, the cancellation, like the refund never came back into my account. And so I contacted her and I said, hi, I'm just wondering like why I haven't been refunded. She replies very simply, I have a no cancellation policy. Right away, my spidey senses are going off because personally, I don't charge clients for a session before I see them. Secondly, if my client canceled a month in advance, I would just refund them. That's ridiculous. Why would I keep $450 from someone? Why is a session non-refundable? A session you haven't even serviced? And furthermore, why are you talking to someone who just gave you $450 that way?
Okay, so this individual brings up a really good point, and it's very, very common, at least from what I've seen in the coaching industry, is a lot of people not offering refunds on services that haven't even been remitted yet. As someone who's owned a service-based business for about 5 years now, I do understand the value in taking deposits from people. So for context, I used to run a mobile yoga studio. People would book me to come to their location and offer a yoga class. When people booked a session with me, I would charge a non-refundable deposit of, I think it was $50 to hold that spot. But that was more as a security for me, so that if I held a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to come teach you yoga and you decided you were going to cancel on me, I was foregoing other opportunities that could have come up. So I definitely am in favor of taking deposits for people when you are going to provide a service. But to make someone fully pay for a service and then never have to actually provide it and not be willing to give any kind of refund whatsoever seems like a huge red flag. And if you see on anyone's website when you go to book a service with them and they are taking a 100% payment fee with no refunds at all of any kind, that is definitely a red flag to watch out for.
And I stated I was not aware that like it was in US. It was a way bigger investment than I anticipated, which in my opinion really suggests that I was not comfortable and could not afford what I had paid. But she was like, nope, no refunds. So she's like, but I guess I can let you rebook. Yeah, bitch, you're gonna let me rebook. So I rebooked the exact same day within like 48 hours of canceling or something. So the session comes and I'm obviously feeling quite a bit of pressure for it to like mean something, work and transpire into something because that was a lot of money.
This is the other thing too. As a service provider, if someone reached out to me and said that, you know, the reason I'm not comfortable in making this investment is because I didn't realize of the exchange rate, for example, and it's much more expensive than I thought it was going to be, to me, I would feel bad for that individual. Obviously, someone who had the money and could afford the service and booked the service wouldn't be reaching out to me asking for their money back because when they booked the service, they knew what the price was. So to me, the whole like exchange rate thing seems like an obvious reason to give someone a refund because sure, maybe they didn't do their due diligence, but why would I want to take money from someone who clearly is expressing concern about the fact that they can't afford it?
And when she opens up the container, she's anything but friendly and cordial. I feel like she's very closed off. She's very cold. I say to her straight up, I'm feeling really anxious because I spent a lot of money on this. Okay? Very upfront. I'm feeling really anxious because I'm spending a lot of money on this. I told her that. And yeah, she's like, okay, well, do you know what the session is? And I'm like, you can explain it more. So she spends about 15-20 minutes explaining what the session is. Fine. And then she says, just so you're aware, when I finish your activation, I'm going to log off and I'm not going to say goodbye, and that will be the end of our exchange. And I knew for me that that would be a no-go, that that would trigger the fuck out of me. I'm already feeling unsafe in my investment, and now she's just literally gonna walk out and leave. And baby has abandonment trauma, abandonment wound, big time. And I'm very aware of the things that trigger me. But at this point, I really felt like I had no option. Like, what was I gonna do? Like, there's literally nothing I could do because she made it very clear I can't cancel. I'm already in the session. So I said, okay, sure.
I just want you for a second to imagine yourself in this scenario. So you've spent money on this service that you don't even want anymore. You're in the actual session with the individual. They show up seeming like they don't give a fuck. They're being standoffish. You tell them you're not feeling very safe in the environment, and they're just like, whatever, I'm gonna leave in 20 minutes, so good luck.
She does, I shit you not, no more than a 20-minute meditation. And I even hesitate to call it a meditation because I felt like she was reading me a script. And there was maybe two things that I felt were like personal to me, but otherwise everything felt so fake and like literally like she was reading something she had read a million times before. And then she logged off, and she told me the time when she logged off, and it was 8 minutes before our hour was up. And that right away activated me because I'm like, I did not pay $450 for you to literally explain to me what you were going to do and then read me a script and then log off and not even give me my full hour.
Meanwhile, this service provider is probably like cackling all the way to the bank, like, that's the easiest $450 I ever made. Sucker.
From there, transpired into me becoming extremely triggered. I started having panic attacks. Basically, because the container was so unsafe and I got triggered, I went into a trauma response. And my trauma response lasted a month and a half. And I think it was 2 weeks after our session, I contacted her and I was like, I'm really not doing okay. Is this normal? Like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it sounds like you're feeling something from the collective. Have you watched my Instagram stories? No, bitch, because I unfollowed you because you are not a good practitioner. So I just didn't respond to her because it was very clear she didn't give a fuck at all. She never said, I'm sorry to hear that. What can I do for you? Let me know if this helps. Like, nothing. No acknowledgement for my experience, no acknowledgement for my feelings. Literally nada.
Absolutely awful.
So 2 weeks ago, I contacted her and I said, listen, I'm not happy with my investment for reasons A, B, and C. At the very least, like, you didn't even give me the full hour, which is what I paid for, so legally I am entitled to my money back. She sends me this long ass email, and if you want to see the screenshots, I will show you. Danielle, it was so disgusting. Like, disgusting this. Like, I would just never, if a client came to me and said, I don't feel like I got anything out of that session, here's your money. What can I do for you? Do you want another session? Do you want a free session? Do you want integration? Like, whatever you need. Because guess what? I'm not doing this to get paid. I'm doing this because I genuinely give a fuck about other human beings, and I don't believe in traumatizing people in a space where people are coming where they're already traumatized, right?
Yes, this is a very, very important point that she makes. This idea that I'm not in the business of strictly just making money. I became a service provider because there was a particular service I wanted to provide. And so if I offer that service to people and they don't feel like they got what they paid for, it is on me as the service provider to either refund them, offer them additional services, or work collaboratively to figure out what solution and agreement we can come to so that we both feel like we are being treated fairly.
Really verbatim says to me, you yourself as a service-based business can understand that when a service has been fulfilled, there's no money back. Literally saying, I am a service she fulfilled. So anyways, that like transpired back and forth. She absolutely refused to refund me at any level. I said like, I'm even open to like a partial refund, nothing. At the end, she said, I'll give you a 30-minute integration. First off, 30 minutes is butt fuck nothing. Secondly, why on God's good earth would I ever, ever want to go back into a container or space with you?
That. Oh my God. Okay. So I was just saying, you'd work together, you'd create a sort of collaborative solution to the problem. But at the same time, especially in something like this, where you're put in a really vulnerable position, why on earth, if I'm feeling like you didn't treat me right, I didn't get what I paid for, would I trust you to then try and make up for it by offering me an additional session when it's already been no. Like, this is just so icky to me. Okay, so it continues with my response where I say, that is so fucking awful. Oh my God, what? And she responds, I know. I said, I'm so sorry that happened. That's traumatizing. She said, you should see the emails, Danielle. It's so alarming. I can't imagine talking to a coaching client like she did. So if you haven't already deduced, this individual who sent me these messages is also in the service provider space. I said, it also destroys any trust with future practitioners you contemplate working with, because I am of the opinion that if you have a really negative experience with a particular kind of service provider, you are much less likely to go into future relationships with that type of service provider with a positive mindset. Think about when you like go to the dentist. When I was a kid, I used to have a really horrible dentist who would yell at me and tell me that I needed to brush my teeth more and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I was brushing my teeth like 3 times a day. I would take a toothbrush to school. It was a whole thing, and it really traumatized me as a kid to go to the dentist, to the point that when I was an adult, I still had like fears associated with going to the dentist until I found a dentist who wasn't an asshole. So I think that experiences like this can really destroy a lot of the trust that we are looking for when we are paying someone for a particular service. So she replies, yes, it does. And I'm already really picky, but I went off a friend's recommendation and clearly shouldn't have. My response was to her comment about talking to a client like that. I said, yeah, the whole refund thing is a huge ick for me. I cannot believe that. Again, as a service provider, if someone came to me and said, you provided an unsafe environment, I didn't get what I paid for, I would just give them a refund to get them off my back. It's not even worth my time to go back and forth. Then she replies, it definitely changed my opinion of that friend. So she's talking about the friend that referred her to this practitioner. I said, rightfully so. And then she replied, because she puts that woman in all of her workshops. So her friend is also a service provider who I guess provides workshops with this lady who just scammed her out of this money. And she was the one that was like, hey, you should use this girl. Like, she's legit. I put her in all my workshops. And then she turns out to be a scammer. Her response was then like, this is who you're going to uphold. And then that's when I realized, like, no fucking way. What are you talking about? Did you tell this friend what happened? And then she says, okay, I'm going to send you the Instagram messages so you can see the whole conversation. So that's when we really get into the Instagram stuff. All right, folks, buckle up. This is where it starts to get really good. Okay, so this person says, hi there. I had booked a session with you not realizing your prices were in Canadian. I canceled after I realized the exchange rate, but I have not been reimbursed. Is there no money back on cancellations? The practitioner says, hi, sessions are non-refundable. It states non-refundable on the booking page. A little dig at you because I'm not already bitchy enough. I have availability through the next month to reschedule your session. This individual says, I guess I didn't see that. Yeah, I'll rebook. Should I message you here? So immediately just gets shut down by the practitioner, and basically feels like her concerns about the exchange rate are just being completely dismissed. The email you received after the purchase includes a booking link. You can schedule through the link. If there are any glitches, please email, and then links her email. See you soon. Again, as a service provider, just give her the fucking link. Don't make her go look through her email. How hard is it to copy and paste from Calendly? Anyway, so I'm not certain, but I'm going to assume this is like a few days later. Hey, I sent a message to that email in regards to rebooking and haven't heard back. Not sure what the regular turnaround time is, but just want to make sure that the appointment gets rebooked. Okay, and the next message is kind of cut off, but what I figured it says is Thursday was a holiday in the States and my assistant doesn't work on weekends. Your appointment will be scheduled when she's back in the office. And then this person says, okay, thanks. So then sometime between November 27th and December 22nd, this individual had their healing session. And then she messages on December 22nd. Hi, I don't know if this is the appropriate place to reach out, but I had a session a week ago and have not been doing well since. I have felt completely exhausted, extremely antisocial, and a few times have had panic attacks. I feel whenever I talk to someone, there's a bubble around me and I can't think or respond properly. All of it is very uncomfortable. I know you said it can take 3 months to integrate, but I don't know how to go 3 months feeling like this. Wondering if there's anything I can do beyond embodiment and nervous system regulation techniques. Also curious if this is a normal response. I've had responses like this before to a session, but never had the response last longer than 72 hours. Thank you. The practitioner responds, Hi, have you tuned into my recent energy updates? We are collectively feeling intense waves of everything you're experiencing. You're very much not alone in this, however. The DNA activation is definitely pulling you inward. As I mentioned, being submersed in other energy pre-activation can be hard on the system. During this time of collective intensity, I'm advising all clients to come back to their body and to their breath. Sit in stillness with their energy, with their breath, in practices that feel nourishing, and witness what's coming through. When we have panic, anxiety, and overwhelm come into our body, it's a way of trying to pull us back in from disconnect or dissociation. Now is a great time to slow down and be inward to honor your body and its energetic needs. We moved extremely slow and meticulous through your activation, so it sounds like what your experience is more collective versus the DNA activation. Sometimes when we turn to practices, it can feel like work or stress on the system. Have you tried just sitting with your body in stillness, in calm, not doing, just being, and asking your body what it needs? Tracking the energy that is coming for you and witnessing it is the best way to diffuse intensity boiling to the surface. Sometimes the best tool is simply listening. The collective energy is like a tidal wave and extremely charged, so it's a lot on the body, especially since you're very open right now post-activation. Covering yourself in that golden light each day like we did at the beginning of the call, connecting with your body through stillness, and listening before beginning the day, seeing what your body needs before doing will help big time. You're absolutely not alone with feeling the intensity. Everyone from both my mentorship to my clients, friends, and family have all reached out over the past week because it's been a lot and very exhausting. My guides nudge me to channel this meditation before the peak of the energy. It will feel supportive. Then she links her to a free meditation and all of my recent reels and posts on energy. All 12 of these posts discuss current energy and might provide some comfort and resonance. Oh my God. Okay, so I could do a whole video, and I will do a whole video on the principles of manifestation and this whole energy work that's out on the internet. But the part that really irritates me, well, there's a lot of parts that really irritate me, particularly when she goes into the discussion about panic, anxiety, and that experience in the body. It is my personal belief that if you are not a trained therapist or health professional, that you should not be advising people on what to do when they are experiencing panic and anxiety in the body. Trauma responses are something that you do need a specific level of education on, and I don't just think that anyone on the internet who calls themselves a coach is qualified necessarily to speak on that. Besides that, all she's really telling this individual to do is sit still and observe her thoughts. I could have Googled that, thanks. And then kind of just dismisses her feelings and is like, listen to my free meditation and go watch my Instagram reels. That'll solve your problems. So then I believe this is a few days later, this individual responds, I've spent a lot of time in reflection since our session, and I desire and feel it necessary to share some feedback. I found you through her friend's podcast and immediately resonated with your words. I felt called to book a DNA activation session as I felt there had been alignment between your ideas, your values, your beliefs, and mine. When I booked the session and misunderstood the cost and then was unable to be refunded regardless of the fact my session was weeks away, I felt frustrated. I vulnerably shared that I was not in a financial situation to afford however much the session was after the exchange, which put a lot of pressure on the session to be worth it. When we opened the container and you shared that you would be departing the session without integration or regulation, I intuitively knew it would not be a safe experience for me. However, I did not feel it an option to vocalize my concern, seeing as my previous vocalized concern was dismissed. Insert clap emoji. As I shared in my last message, I was not well after our session. To be told my experience was due to collective energy and be sent to your Instagram stories felt dismissive. That's what I said. What I believe I was experienced was trauma response to being left in a session with no help to regulate the process or experience. Being a practitioner and somatic educator, I am well resourced and educated. However, it has been over 2 months since our session, and I am still not to the level of safety I was feeling in my body pre-session. I strongly feel if you are leaving people without any integration, this needs to be clearly communicated to a client before they make an investment. Should I have known this, I am quite confident I would not have pursued this session. So this individual is very aware of the things that trigger her. And she's basically just saying, if it was clearly outlined on your website what to expect in a session, I wouldn't have booked in the first place because I would have been able to tell right away that this wouldn't have been a safe space for me. And then I think that, in addition to the fact that the whole like money situation around it just sort of exacerbated the situation. All this aside, the session booked was scheduled for an hour and our session was closed up before the hour's time was up. Definitely agree with that. If you pay for a service, you should get what you pay for. I am unhappy with this experience. It was not the experience I thought it was to be, and I'm now having to invest in support to help repair the rupture created. While I believe none of this to be your intention, I do feel it important as space holders that we are aware and accountable for our clients' experiences. I am requesting to have my investment in this session be fully refunded. Thank you. And then this person replies, "Hi, I will respond to your message via email tomorrow." And they say thank you. And we're going to get into those emails because, oh my God, it keeps going. So this is the coach's response. First off, I'm sorry that you are unhappy. That is never my intention. DNA activations are just that, activations. As we discussed at the beginning of the call, DNA activations dissolve old identities, density, conditioning, and programming. And in the process, we are each called into our own shadow work. While I hold the space and channel the energy, you are in complete control as a sovereign being. She's wiping her hands clean, folks. Trusting the process as it unfolds is also something we discuss, along with the integration being unique to you, and that integration can last up to 3 months. It has been 1 month since your session, so shut the f up and don't say anything because it hasn't even been the appropriate amount of time yet. My response to your message on December 22nd, 22 was not intended to be dismissive at all. What you were experiencing felt incredibly aligned with the current energy, and I had written so much about similar energy to what you were feeling. My intention was to provide comfort and a different perspective. In this message, you had asked if there was anything to do beyond embodiment practices and nervous system regulation, and you asked if the response was normal. You shared that you had previously experienced the same response in sessions with other practitioners, basically gaslighting her into being like, you're the one that said this always happens to you, so it's not my fault. I responded with practices, tools, a free meditation, reassuring that everyone has their own unique experience, and I never heard back from you. If you had questions for integration support, I would have absolutely offered it. However, I never heard back from you. The session was booked as a standalone DNA activation. It states on purchasing that it is only a DNA activation and it is not refundable. With that, there is an option to purchase an integration. So which one is it, lady? Because now you're saying, if you had have asked for integration, I would have provided it, but then you're also saying integration is not included with that purchase. You purchased your session on November 16th. Your session held its space on my calendar for 4 days before you canceled. That's because she was waiting for the credit card statement to come through. At this point, December was almost completely booked. Your first message to me, I had booked a session with you, not realizing your prices weren't in Canadian. I canceled after I realized, but I haven't been reimbursed, blah, blah, blah. She's just quoting the message. I responded that sessions are not refundable. However, we could reschedule, which we did for December 14th. Your message today on January 23rd said, I vulnerably shared I was not in a financial position to afford it. Again, just quoting her message. Your message did not say anything about not being able to afford the session. It sounds like there was an expectation set that I would never have been able to fulfill from the lens of worth it. If there was an expectation placed for massive transformation from one single session, I can only do my part, which is to hold the space and hold the energy. Massive transformation can absolutely happen, but it is absolutely dependent on you as a sovereign being and the leader of your life. Massive transformation is birthed through integration. Booking a single session also means you are taking radical responsibility to do the integration work on your own. Again, this is something we commonly see in any type of coaching space, is this idea that I'm the practitioner that provides the vessel, and it's up to you as the purchaser to implement whatever I teach you. I see this in the business coaching space where they're like, I can sell you the program and give you the tools you need, but if you don't implement them, that's your fault. When it's like, no, you're fucking teaching me useless shit that I can't actually use. I spend the first 20 minutes of every DNA activation addressing everything I've seen and experienced and what has been shared with me over the past year of offering activations. The space is open for you to ask questions, which you did, and address any fears or concerns. Through experience, I have witnessed the time post-activation being a deep meditative space for you to receive what you need. Interrupting this does not seem beneficial, which is why I close the session once the activation is complete. If that did not align with you, there was absolutely space to share since I asked Do you have any questions, concerns, or is there anything coming up? As a practitioner and somatic educator, you also know that it is an individual's responsibility to do the work. No healer can or should have the power to do the work for someone else. The integration that follows the session is the medicine. Whether that is with a healer, a certification course, or plant medicine, sitting in a session opens the door. The integration done individually is where everything unfolds. Again, this practitioner is wiping her hands clean, saying, I gave what you paid for. It is not my problem. Figure it out. It is clearly communicated that a standalone DNA activation does not include additional integration, yet literally 5 minutes ago, you said, if you needed integration, you should have just asked. That is included upon purchasing, and I share that at the beginning of the session, that it is a standalone session. But again, if she's already in the session, you've already told her she can't get a refund, so if she got into the session, realized that's not what she needed, there was no way for her to get out. Like, you're just talking in circles. That is the difference between purchasing a DNA activation versus a DNA activation and integration bundle. You purchased solely a DNA activation. However, I offered that you could follow up via email or DM following the session, and I did not hear from you until December 22nd. I'm sorry that you're unhappy. With that being said, you're asking for a refund months after purchasing a non-refundable service, and that service has been rendered. As a service-based business yourself, I hope that you see why refunding a session that has been serviced is not aligned. Here we go again. Okay, then this individual replies, you are correct when saying it is not a facilitator or space holder's job to do the work. I fully understand it's my responsibility to orchestrate my own healing, and that space holders are guides and support systems for my journey. However, it is my opinion that it is a space holder's responsibility to be upfront, accountable, and trauma-informed when holding any type of space. Again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this is why working in this kind of space is so problematic for me, because if you are not adequately informed in trauma response and trauma-informed practice, it can be really, really dangerous for people who have actually experienced trauma to be put in these situations because you don't have the adequate tools to help them work through it. I did not outright say in my Instagram message that I could not afford the session. However, when I communicated, I did not realize the exchange rate. I do feel it was implied that the cost was not a comfortable investment for me. Personally, I would agree. If you're Canadian, you can definitely relate to having purchased something thinking it was in Canadian, then it's in US, and all of a sudden it costs like 30% extra. When I was met with a strict policy and recommended to contact your support, this being my first interaction with you ever, I felt embarrassed and like I was bothering you. Again, that was kind of the impression that I gave when I was like, she should have just included the link. Like, it seemed very impersonal. It confuses me that your Instagram message wrote, I have availability through the next month to reschedule your session, yet now you're saying you were almost fully booked, calling her out. When we opened the session, you asked how I was feeling, and it was at that time I did openly share that I was overwhelmed by how much I had invested. I was, however, excited and open to what the experience would be. I never at any point felt or expected you to make it worth it. That pressure was fully on myself. I find this all to be semantics to the real concern I'm trying to share here, which is my response and ongoing somatic state since our session. It is frustrating to me that it has now been twice where I've expressed my current feelings and it has not been acknowledged other than quoting my own words back to me. Yes, I have experienced symptoms in the past of what I am going through right now. However, as I wrote in my initial Instagram message, this would normally only last 24 to 72 hours, not a month. This response I'm having is not me integrating the activation, but rather the result of you leaving the session early. When someone has this trauma response, the part of the brain that rationalizes thought, function, and feelings shuts off and the body goes into survival mode. When you signed off the call, my body had a trauma response due to a trigger of feeling abandoned. I will reiterate that had I had known upfront before the session that this was how the session would be completed, I would not have invested in this session. I respect and can understand why this is your chosen way of running your sessions. However, it is not aligned for me as an individual. You are now saying that I should have vocalized I was not comfortable with you leaving the session without integration. So I'm curious what the offer would have been, seeing as you have repeatedly reiterated your cancellation policy. I am hoping you can see how I'm feeling uncomfortable with the investment, being told I cannot be refunded. I felt like I had no choice but to complete the session as it was designed. I would agree with that if I was in this position and I had initially asked for a refund and not been granted that refund. Why would I ever feel comfortable voicing my concerns about what the service should look like. I would almost be personally, again, just because of my personality type, I think I would be in a position where I would be afraid to say anything and I would just be like, okay, I'll just do whatever, just let it be over. Personally, I do not look at holding space for people in their journey as a service-based business. For me, it is a sacred honor that should be taken seriously, as malpractice, miscommunication, misalignment can have serious consequences on clients' well-being. Again, that comes from being in a trauma-informed perspective. The fact that the session was held or time it's taken for me to feel confident enough to reach out and share my experience should not negate the fact that I feel I did not receive the return on my investment. Again, it comes down to her paying for a service and not being delivered what she expected on that service. I'm open to a 75% refund to honor the time you did hold. However, I did pay for an hour session and our session did end before the hour. I do not want it to come to this, but legally I am entitled to request for a chargeback on my credit card, as the hour of service I paid for was not completed in full. So again, she's offering this practitioner the opportunity to make things right. You know, I'll let you keep $100. I'll take back my $300. That way you at least get some money for the time that you put into the session. And I feel like I was fairly compensated because I didn't get what I paid for. But does this practitioner go along with it? I acknowledge that we can go back and forth in this exchange, which does not seem beneficial to either of us. Sessions are non-refundable and the session was completed. However, if you would like a 30-minute healing or integration session, I'm happy to accommodate. Yeah, fucking right. Like, I'm gonna call you for help after this. Okay, final response. You cling to the fact that the policy is more important than a client's experience, so why would I ever feel comfortable to have you hold space for me in any setting ever again? And that's it. If I feel like my concerns are not being heard, in what right mind would I feel comfortable sitting down with you and having you integrate the material for me? I am not a service you completed. I am a human being that invested in your offering because I trusted you to hold safe space. I have opened a dispute on my credit card for the charges. The session was not completed to the hour which I paid for. At the very least, I hope you are able to reconsider giving people more adequate information before they invest in your offerings. Maybe consider taking a look at your refund policy, perhaps. This is a no. If you're a service-based business, what's your refund policy? Okay, so then I replied to this individual through Instagram. I just said, your response is so on point, so well articulated. She is just gaslighting you left and right. It's awful. I especially admire your point about being a human and not a service rendered. I think this is a clear indicator that she's in it for the money and not for the sacred ability to hold space, which I think is very, very true. And again, we see this all the time in the coaching industry. Many coaches have a no refund policy, and it's for this reason. They just want to make a ton of money. They don't really care if you get the results that are promised or not. So then I just asked, how long until you hear back about the dispute? For some reason, it won't play the voice note again, but essentially she just told me that she submits it to her credit card company. The credit card company then contacts the seller. They have the option to kind of like refute it back within 30 days or something, and then she can respond back, and basically it like dings the seller. So the seller can get like a red flag on their account. And if, again, that happened in future where someone requested a chargeback, they could be banned from being able to take payment via credit. So I just said, not sure she's smart enough to know that. That was the whole like the red flag on your account kind of thing. Keep me posted on how it all turns out. Just so awful. And so that's kind of the end of that saga. But I really, again, just thought that this was the perfect example of these coaches. Again, this is like a spiritual coach example, but I've seen it time and time again in the business coaching and the life coaching space, where the coaches providing the service don't want to take accountability for the results that their clients do or don't get. And so instead, they sort of form this narrative that I provide you the tools you need, and if you don't succeed or you don't get the results you expected, that's your fault, not mine. And quite frankly, it's just really disgusting. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, if you are interested in anti-scam content, I have my whole playlist linked down below, as well as some other videos you might want to check out. My email is in the description box below as well if you have any videos you want to send me to have me read out on my channel. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will leave you with this video right here.